I am here today with Wei Tingting, and we're very lucky to have her as a guest on Queer Delight. She came over all the way from China, and in China she's a very well-known feminist and LGBTI activist. Wei Tingting, welcome.
Thank you, Stan.
So, yeah, we've been working together for a while in the past as well. So what are you doing these days in China? Can you tell me a bit more about your work over there?
Sure. After I leave Beijing Gender, which I worked with you before, then I moved to Guangzhou, the south of China, in 2016. After that, I'm kind of set up a new organization called the Guangzhou Gender and Sexuality Education Center. It's really a long name.
Yes.
And now I'm kind of start a little bit about some project related to gender and LGBT issues now.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you first start as an activist? Like how did you I think you also come from the countryside in China. Like how did you become involved in activist work?
Yes, I think the starting point for me is when I was studying in a college in middle of China, and then I go to a glass shops to fix my glass, and then I see a newspaper about the vagina monologues. After that, I go to search the name of vagina monologues. You know, the name is quite special. So, but after I saw the interview and I also saw the video of Eva Ensler at the time, the famous, I think, BBC show, something like this. And I was so interested about this drama. And at that time, I was a student on grade 2 in a drama group in my university. So after that, I think at the time I didn't know a lot about vagina monologues, and I'm still virgin at the time. But then I started to organize a drama and theater event for the show of vagina monologues. But when this drama goes out, it works so well. I remember every time when we performance, there's so many applause there, and the students are very welcome it. So after that, I think I start to, thinking about women's issues and gender equality issues.
Yeah.
And my actress is also very interesting about the issues. So after that, I start to kind of get involved with the feminist movement. And 1 year later, there's a lesbian who come to our feminist group to ask for help, because she kind of want to build a lesbian network or group in Wuhan.
Yeah.
But she didn't know anyone, and she saw our website and group in Douban. So it's a popular website. You can register your group, like Facebook, something like that.
Yeah. And
then one of our member, actually, Xiaotie, who is now the Beijing LGBT Center's director.
Yeah.
I worked with her before, so we already know each other long years ago. So then we get involved. Then that's how we get involved with the lesbian movement there.
Okay, yeah. So, and now you're both working for feminist movement and for LGBT.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
So do you think there's a lot of crossover between the two movements, or is it very different how it's happening in China?
Yes, I think it's in the early year when I started to get involved. I think it's quite divided, I would say. LGBT community, they don't care a lot about gender issues. Also gender community, the feminist community, it's kind of separately of each other. But now I think it's more combined. and especially in the young generation, I would say.
Yeah.
And yes, and so what's your question again?
Like if there's if there's a big division between the movements, and if the work is similar, what you do for the feminist and for the LGBT movement, or if it's different.
Yeah, I think there's some for the I think for the strategy and for the image in the society. I think sometimes it have some difference. For example, if I want to do some feminist work, I know I can find more mainstream force to work with me.
Yeah.
Like I can go to pitch some company or some foundation, even some Gango or foundation from government. But for LGBT issues, it's not that easy to work.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think the way we work sometimes different.
Yeah. Because like the last few years, it's become like a lot more difficult as well for the feminist movement to do things in China, no?
Yes, since 2015, I think.
Yeah.
But also now, I think LGBT also became a sensitive words.
Yeah. I mean, at least I guess in China, the government says they are supporting gender equality. So I guess they don't really like it if people outside of the government do things for gender equality. But I mean, at least they are expressing support for like gender equality. Maybe for LGBT, like government has never really expressed any support.
Yeah,
right?
I think you hit the point. For government, they don't. I think they can sometimes avoid, mentioning LGBT issues in their work.
Yeah.
But for gender issues, it has always been a political correct issues to, mention or talk. And also we have a Fulian Women's
All China Women's Federation.
Yeah, the Chinese Federation.
Yeah, that's the government arm like that's working on gender equality, right? Yeah. And
if we see the history, I also feel after the new China build, gender equality is always the fundamental of our regulation, of our state's regulation.
Yeah. Like women hold up half the sky.
Yes.
Yeah.
An iron girl.
Yeah. So I remember you were involved in quite some controversial activities as a feminist. I think once you occupied like the men's toilets, then also once about like the bride that you
bloody
like
bride.
The bloody bride. I think you with a couple of other people you went on the street as like a bloody. That was against domestic violence, or
that is event against domestic violence. And at that time, there's a very famous English teacher called Li Yang, and he was reported by his wife that have the activists of domestic violence, and he somehow denied it, even though there is so many, proof stuff to prove that. So then we did a recorded artist action. In one of the milestone in Beijing called Qianmen Dajie. It's a very popular and famous street in Beijing.
But then there was also one action that basically, it wasn't really an action, but you're part of the Feminist Five that got like a lot of attention also outside of China. So, I mean, can you say a little bit more about like the Feminist Five and what kind of happened at that time?
Yeah, at that time, I remember in March 6, we planned to have a campaign in the public transportation to anti-sexual harassment in the public space. But at the beginning we just planned it. But I remember in the 5th, it should be the 5th of March, then someone from police station called me. And it's quite windy in Beijing that time. And he called me, just give me an alert. She said, "Oh, are you Wei Tingting?" I said, "Yes, I am." She said, I come from the police station in the Beijing city, and I just want to tell you it's really windy in Beijing now, so don't go out." Okay. That's all. And then I just okay, I can, kind of understand what she said, because at that time we planned to have this campaign in different cities.
Yeah.
And I am my role is a volunteer who get involved of this campaign. But after discuss, we think it's not a big deal. We just go to the subway station to send some fires.
Yeah.
We think it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
If the police come, we can just cancel this event. Nothing big.
Yeah.
But on the second day, I was asked, there's 2 police want to fight me, and because I'm a little bit sick at home, so they cannot find me, and then they call me. Because I already, have a tea with them before. So I told them, okay, I can go to the police station to find you guys, to talk with you. But after that, they keep me in the station, and then on the 7th, I realized I was arrested.
Okay.
Because they showed me some document, said, okay, you are arrested because some blah, 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 certain suspicious for certain crime.
Yeah. Suspects.
Yeah. My English is not very good.
Oh, it's fine.
Okay. So then I realized there's several other girls who also get arrested.
Yeah.
So eventually 5 of us was detained to the detention center, and they released other, I think, inviting other three other 2 girls.
Yeah, they released them before they released you.
Yes, they released them in the police station.
Okay.
At the beginning we was kept in the police station, and after 24 hours, I think, and then we was, at the beginning I thought they will release me as well.
Yeah.
So when they take us to the car, I think, okay, they will send me back my home.
Yeah.
But it goes north of Beijing, but my house is in the south. Then we realized, okay, now it became a big deal. We think it's really not a big deal.
Yeah.
But this is something. Then we find we were sent to a Haidian district detention center and after that I know it is the biggest detention center in Asia.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, the police told me when they captured me.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then basically they kept you there for
37 days.
37 days.
Mm-hmm.
My God. So did you ever know, I don't know, when you were going to get out or?
No, I don't. No. And at the beginning, I started anthropology, so I think, oh my God, I haven't been to a detention center before.
Yeah.
At the beginning I said it's just really, really a tiny, small thing.
Yeah.
I should be okay, and I'm not the organizer. I'm just a volunteer who get involved. So I think maybe just 2 or 3 days we will all be released, all be fine. And because that's the 两会, the conference, the party's conference held at the time. So I think, okay, just 2 or 3 days we will get out.
Yeah.
But after 2 or 3 days, there's no any single signal that they will send you out.
Okay.
Then I start to get worried.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But then as we all know, there was a lot of action, also internationally. I think even Hillary Clinton, said something on Twitter and everything. So do you think it also helped to, make sure that you actually left, or?
I'm not sure actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I remember the first 10 days, they asked me many questions about my life and about my activism.
Yeah.
But I think the thing is the global help and support and campaign is really helpful to present the Chinese feminist movement to a world, stage.
Yeah.
Because I think for some stereotype, people will think, okay, in China, because the, patriarchy, because the control of the government. So I think for some people in outside of China, they didn't imagine there is any, activism or feminism movement there. But it's a chance that we can have more connection to a global world. And also because of the language problems, in China, most of the people, they don't speak well English. So it's not very easily for them to, communicate with others abroad. So I think it's also a turning point for Chinese feminist movement. Because after all, you will realize feminists became sensitive words because of the global, actions to global action to I will say fight back to the authorities' detention.
So in a way it was a good thing because there was more attention, but then in a way it was also a bad thing because now also government had more attention on feminist movements.
And at the beginning I didn't realize this event can go out so far. I think just a detention, but it quickly became a global issues and a lot reports. And after I get released, I find out in my Facebook and my email, I have several friends from abroad, write to me, they told me, okay, I was in England, in London. I just read BBC News and I saw your face there. And I suddenly realized, okay, it really goes very far.
Okay. Great. Well, we'll come back a little bit later with some more questions about your activism in China. So thank you for now, and we will hear more a bit later. We are back with Wei Tingting, and we just talked quite a lot about the events surrounding the detention in 2015 of the Feminist Five. Wei Tingting was one of the Feminist Five. You were in detention for 37 days. Like you said, it raised a lot of international attention. But then also the government started to pay more attention to feminists and it became quite sensitive to do activities. So how was it for you afterwards? Did you feel at a certain point, maybe I shouldn't be an activist anymore? Or was it for you a reason to be even more activist? What did it do to you?
Yes, I do. I do have some certain points. Actually, it was in the detention center. I have some certain point thinking about why I still doing this. It's kind of it's so hard, and when you're doing it, so many pressure, and so at the time I kind of get a little bit depressed by the situation and by what happened to me at the time. But after I get released, I was so inspired by what other women do and what other, solidarity I got. And I also very inspired by other, feminists. They some of them go hidden, at the time, but they are so brave. They also do some action and do some campaign, even though they are in some dangerous position. So I'm very inspired by that.
Yeah.
So I think that's also the motivation that I can keep moving and still doing some work in this field. Also, secondly, I still insist that I did nothing wrong in that time, and sometimes I feel maybe it's a mistake by the authority. They think we are doing something dangerous or whatever.
Yeah.
But now I still think that when you're doing something right, you're gonna get some helpers around you. So I also feel I'm lucky because, well, it's the gossip time, yeah. Because I met my girlfriend in the detention center. So I think it's really a lucky part for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's an amazing story. Like, we should make a movie about it.
Yes.
So you found love in the detention center. So there's something really good that came out of it.
Yes.
Yeah. So nowadays, for the feminist movement, one big thing that's also coming up in a lot of Western media is the Me Too campaign.
Yes.
Like in Chinese, it's 我也是.
Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about this campaign in China?
Yes. As you know, Me Too campaign already happened for a while. So I remember just months ago, in the end of the 2017, still some reporter want to interview me, ask me why there is no Me Too movement in China. But in the first day of 2018, there is a girl called Lao Xixi who, accused a professor who was her teacher that sexually harassed her before, but it was 12 years ago. Actually, before this big news happened, I already knew it because the reporter who reported this, we are friends, so we already discussed about this case before, and I also told her that I can offer help on this case. Then we talk about some actions before it really happened. But after this, I think other students or medias or activists, they saw this big news, and then they start to get involved with that. So some I remember that some activists start to, or some students maybe, they start to give petition to their college, and some other reporters wrote more articles on it. And in the first 3 days, it became very, very hot news in China. And I think it started a kind of very big campaign in China, and which is still going on now. As I know, there's over 8,000 students from over 50 colleges who sent petition to their college, ask for the anti-sexual harassment mechanism in their college.
Yeah.
And for me, my organization, as last year we have did a report about the sexual harassment situation in college. So the result we get is we get over 6,000 students answer our questionnaire, and we find out around 30% of them report that they have been sexually harassed in their whole life.
Yeah.
So which means it's really a serious issues in China, but only 4% of them go to report to the college leaders or go to report to the police after things happened.
Yeah. So right now the campaign is focused on educational institutions and colleges, or are there also people in different fields, like, I don't know, like in America, like in the media, or like, I don't know, in other fields that have brought forward cases?
Right now, I think it's mainly in the educational field, but also other fields. I think people also pay attention to.
Yeah.
But mainly still focus on the international field.
Yeah.
Because there is somehow the power imbalance in college.
Yeah.
And if it's in college for students, I think they have less resource to get help, to get support.
Yeah, yeah. Is it also maybe because like students in China, usually they're also the population that is really socially active and like, I don't know, also really thinking about rights in these issues?
Yeah, I will agree. I think for some part of the young generation who is students now, they are really they have a lot sense of right. So I didn't expect that there's so many influence in the student community, but it did.
Yeah.
And I remember there's some students, left messages in our social media accounts, and some students, they just saw the news and they reposted and they start to do some action themselves. Yeah. So it's also very inspired. I remember also in China, like always a lot of the volunteers, they're like college students, and I mean somehow, like, I don't know, if you graduate from college and you go to work, then for a lot of people it becomes harder to get involved. Like, is that because you think of the pressure of work, or I don't know? Yeah, I think so. And when you are a student, you will have a more free time to contribute, and then you will have more, idea to change the world.
Yeah.
But when you become an employee in a company, I think what you're gonna do is mainly thinking about how much you're gonna earn. Yes. And the pressure is more, and you have to take more, I think, responsibility.
Yeah. Because still, like, I don't know, there are quite some activists, but I don't know, maybe professional activists who can really like dedicate their lives to it. There's still a small minority in China.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. So at the same time, you're also working on LGBT issues, and recently you also put out a report on transgender rights in China, right?
Yes. In last year, we did 2 reports. One is about the sexual harassment I mentioned. The other one is about the transgender diploma, gender identity change situation.
Gender marker.
Gender marker change issues in China, because in China, if you are a transgender, if you change your gender by surgery in college, you can still change your gender in your diploma and the other, license and record. But if you graduated and then you have a surgery or you change your sex, then it's almost impossible for you to change your diploma anymore.
Yeah.
So which bring a lot difficult for a lot transgender community. Because you can imagine, when you are in college, you don't have money, you still need the support for your family. So if at the time you want to go to hospital to do a surgery, it's almost impossible, because you have to, in the first step, come out to your parents. They have to support you and pay for you for the surgery. Or if they don't sign the documentary, the agreement in the hospital, you cannot do it by yourself. So you already block a lot students who want to do it.
Yeah.
So, but when you are graduated, you cannot change your diploma in the very transphobia society.
Yeah.
It's also very hard for this kind of transgender get a good job.
Yeah.
So as I know, some of them will make a fake documentary. Some of them will go to study for master degree, and then you can change your gender mark.
Okay, for the master. Yeah.
Yeah, and some of them will give up to find a good job. They may go to find some job you don't have to present your diploma, you do business by yourself.
Yeah. Because in China, it's still, if you want to change your gender marker on your identity, you need to first have the surgery, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you need to first have your surgery, and then you go to the police station to change your gender mark in your ID card.
Yeah.
And then if you want to change your diploma, you have to go back to your college. But normally they will refuse to your application.
Yeah.
Because we also applied the discourse of government information.
Yeah.
Basically, every college who reply us shows it's impossible, hardly to change the diploma's gender after you are graduated.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it's like you say, a very important issue, especially because the trans community in China, it's still not as visible as like the lesbian or gay community, and it still needs a lot of more awareness around the issue as well.
Yes.
So I think, I see from your work, it's also something that interests you, like within the LGBT movement, also to bring out the voices that are not being heard. Because recently you also made a documentary yourself about bisexual community in China, right?
Yes.
Because I think in China, as in Belgium or in the West, bisexual community is still quite underrepresented community, I think, right?
Yes. I remember I met a member in I think there's a Unite Bisexual Network in Europe. So the activist also told me bisexual is not very visible even in Europe.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what is your documentary about? It's called By China, right?
Yes, it's called By China. I'm not sure. It is. I think it's a documentary record my journey to find out what exactly bisexual means.
Yeah.
And then I start to interview, my friends who identify themselves as bisexual, ask them for their story, their desire, their journey as a bi. But afterwards, eventually I find out it's really hard to identify bisexual. And we cannot just use one or two or three sentences to identify these words.
Yeah. So basically you need to dive into the world to really understand what it is about.
Yes.
So basically I think now in Belgium you will actually also be part of the festival. The festival El Tourne, Dames Draaien, that plays in Brussels. But you're not presenting your own film this time. You are part of a debate that comes after the movie Hooligan Sparrow, right?
Yes, Hooligan Sparrow.
Yeah, Hooligan Sparrow, which is about another activist in China, Ye Haiyan, who also works on feminist issues mostly, right?
Yes, feminist issues, sex worker issues, HIV issues.
Yeah.
And she's quite famous and brave, and she also come from Wuhan.
Okay.
So we already know each other in 2009.
Okay.
It's quite interesting because 2009 is the second time I did the vagina monologues, and we have a show in a bar. So, and then after we finish the show, we find out, there's some woman who have a banner out of the club talking about women's issues, and one of the leader is Ye Haiyan. So that's how I first met her in 2009.
Okay, great. I think we kind of have to round it off for today. But just if you want to meet Wei Tingting, or you feel like watching the movie Hooligan Sparrow, do go to the festival El Turno Dames Draaien. It starts, it already started. They have films on 25, 26, 27 and 28. All by female filmmakers, and Wei Tingting will be part of the Hooligan Sparrow screening on Saturday at 7 o'clock. And then if you're interested in By China, people can also watch it on the internet at the website queercomrades.com, so do go and check. And we hope that maybe in the near future we can also organize a screening of the film somewhere in Belgium. So thank you very much for having this interview, and we will see each other soon.
Yes, thank you for inviting me.
Okay, great.